Assalamu alaikum, this is Iram Saeed, and we are going to talk about some of the side effects of victimhood. So before we do that, please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's talk about victimhood. As you may have guessed, I am really against victimhood. For me, even when I was going through domestic violence, I always said I'm a survivor of domestic violence. I did not want anyone to use the word victim of domestic violence because I just didn't want that label of victim on me, because I knew once you take on that label, once you accept that label, the way your brain works begins to change. So instead of calling myself a victim, I either called myself a survivor or I called myself a victor. I'm a victor of domestic violence. But here's the thing. Since the advent of social media, it seems that victimhood has become really glorified and even coveted by some people. People seek out the status of victimhood because they get to have a lot of attention, because people glorify that, because people bring them up by talking about how big victim they are. It is prevalent, I have noticed, in our society, in our culture here in India and Pakistan. Women love to be victims because in the past, we have seen that they were constantly, we've seen our mothers talk about it, we've seen our grandmothers talk about it, so and so इतनी महान थी, वो बेचारी इतनी साबिर थी, सारी उम्र जुल्म बर्दाश्त किया, एक उफ नहीं की. So this bichari status was really glorified, and it has nothing to do with Islam. Islam does not glorify it. Islam is not a religion of victims. Islam is a religion of people with high self-esteem, high moral value, inner strength, not of victims. So please scratch that from your mind if you think that by being a victim, you can earn the status of sabr. Sabr means, let's look at the word sabr. Sabr comes from, you might have heard, if you've lived in Arab countries, I've lived in Kuwait, where if they wanted to tell someone to stop, they would say isbir, which means stop, halt, stay where you are. So basically what the word sabr means is to persevere, right? It's perseverance. So sometimes perseverance means that if you cannot fight with your oppressor, if you cannot do anything about it, you take it as a challenge from Allah Ta'ala and you keep praying to Allah Ta'ala to give you relief. And sometimes perseverance means to fight back, to hold the hand of the oppressor and to even break it if needed, to stop the zulm that is happening to you. So either one can be sabr. Victimhood is not, because a victim, what they will tend to do is they will just constantly talk about what is bad with me, what is bad in my life, woe is me, constantly having a pity party, constantly telling people how bad their life is, and then putting that on social media, getting a lot of attention for that, getting glorified for that. There's even a condition called, the medical term is Munchausen. It's a syndrome. And people in that condition, people will fake symptoms of a disease or a state in order to basically get attention from other people. So I've seen women do that. I've seen men do it too, where they are actually not victims of what they are trying to perpetrate, what they're trying to portray, but they will say that they are because that gets them attention, or that basically takes the blame away from them. They don't have to take responsibility for taking action in their lives. All of that is extremely disempowering. You are wasting away your life. And not only that, you are having a very negative effect on people around you, especially if you're a parent and you're doing that, you are having a very negative effect on your children. You are teaching them how to be disempowered, how to be weak in life. You are not teaching them how to be a strong person with high self-esteem and high values. I counsel so many people who have extremely low self-esteem because one or both parents were either victims or abusers. So what should you do? Here's a couple of things. If you know someone who constantly does this, where they're constantly talking about their victimhood and how bichara or bichari they are in their lives, make it a point. If you love them, if they're dear to you, you care about them, make it a point to tell them to stop. Now, you're not allowed to talk about your problems like this. You're not allowed to complain anymore. or give them a short window. Okay, you can have your pity party for the next 10 minutes. So get it out, and then you're not allowed to talk about it. You can't talk about it to your kids. You can't talk about it to other people. Get it out of your system, and then you're done. If you are going through it yourself, maybe you call up a friend, because sometimes we do need to vent, and you tell them, I need to have a pity party. Maybe it's an evening, maybe it's an hour, but there needs to be a definitive time limit to it, where you begin and then you end, and now it's done. And once it's done, you have a fruitful conversation with that person. What are some of the things that I can do in order to take responsibility for my life and do something about it? Because as long as you keep blaming somebody else for the bad condition that you're going through, you're constantly giving your power to that person. You're not taking responsibility. You're expecting somehow for your condition to change, right? By taking responsibility, sometimes all we can do is pray to Allah Ta'ala. That Allah Ta'ala, please change my condition because there's nothing else I can do. But this complaining has to stop. Because when you complain, I've talked about the laws of energy, whatever you put your focus on, that's what is going to grow in your life. If you're going to continuously focus on what is negative, what is bad, and how people are oppressing you, and your life is so pathetic, that is what is going to grow in your life. Instead of that, if you take your pain, put it in front of Allah Ta'ala and say, Allah, I am suffering, please help me. I don't want to complain. I want to be your grateful, humble slave. Then guess what? That is going to start increasing in your life. You will see more strength come into your life. You will see more doors will open for you. Allah Ta'ala will send you opportunities to change the condition of your life. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching.